Hello, everybody. I am Robyn Graham, and I am going live this evening, and I am super excited to be here. We're going to talk about branding versus marketing, and I'm going to wait just a few minutes to see if other people come on. I actually have my computer over here to see if I can see it, and then that way I can see comments and stuff like that. Hey, Majette, how are you? So you guys, I came on live on Facebook versus coming through Zoom so that I could see your comments and questions. So please don't hesitate. If you have questions, drop them in the comments and I'll see them and I'll respond as I'm talking. My goal is to just help you guys as much as possible and make it easier for you to not only create a brand, but then market your brand. Majette, let me know when I should get started, if you usually wait just a little bit, or if I should just jump right in because it'll be on replay, or how you want me to proceed. Looks like there's a couple people here now, but I can't tell who. So I am going to go ahead, I think. Oh, Majette said to go ahead and get started. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. And that way we don't have a delay. And as people come on, just pop in and say hi. And then we can go from there. But like I said before, my name is Robyn Graham. I am a brand strategist, personal branding coach. I am host of the Second Phase podcast, and I am a headshot and branding photographer. So through all of that, I help female entrepreneurs find absolute clarity and confidence in their brand messaging so that they can attract more clients. And doing that, I have different programs, different ways that people can work with me, but at the end of the day, my whole goal, purpose, mission is to help women create brands that are marketable, stand out, and ultimately attract clients. So hopefully I will shed some light on branding and help you all be able to create a great brand too. So tonight, the primary topic is branding versus marketing. And before we dive into a true comparison, I want to go over just a little bit about what branding is. And when I talk about branding, I am not talking about a logo. I'm not talking about a color palette. I'm not talking about a tagline or your resume. I am talking about you as the business owner, as the entrepreneur, or if you are in corporate, I am talking about you as the person. And not a product, not a service, but you as the person and your personality infused into your business. And basically your brand is an experience. It's an authentic experience that you create for your audience and your customers. It is also differentiation. And when I talk about differentiation, I'm talking about how you as a person, as a personality, you differentiate yourself from everybody else in your space. There could be thousands of people doing the exact same thing as you. And I think if you're on social media, you see too how many coaches there are. So if you're in the coaching space, it's very, very competitive. I don't really like to use the word competitive, but it's saturated. There's so many people out there doing coaching, and there's so many photographers out there. There's so many podcasters, but you have the ability to differentiate yourself from everyone else in your space. You're given unique gifts, unique talents, and it is your job basically to share all of that information to differentiate yourself from everybody else in your space. Branding, personal branding, we're using those terms interchangeably tonight, and that is also positioning. It's positioning yourself as an expert and an authority in your space. No matter what you do, if you have opened a business, you're an entrepreneur, you have an expertise that you are using to serve others. And you need to promote yourself in a way, let's not use the word promote, but you need to tell your story in a way that is going to help other people understand that you are the expert, that you are the authority on whatever it is that you do. Perception. Your personal brand or your brand is the perception that other people have of you, whether you are in the room or not in the room. It's what you have made them feel. It's how they perceive you as a person and as a business owner. So everything you do, everything you put out online is going to help people develop, create, build a perception of who you are and how you serve other people. Personal branding is also a strategy. It's a strategy of who you are, but not only who you are, but it's a strategy of applying your values, your visions, your passions into your business. And it's strategically telling your story, basically creating a roadmap so your audience can figure out what your why is, who you are, how you can serve them, and why they should hire you. What makes you unique? What makes you better than anybody else? Or what makes you the person that they should work with versus working with someone else who does the same thing? The key here is to always remember not to compare yourself to other people and other brands, because you have unique talents and gifts that are meant to serve a unique population. Don't try to do what other people do, because that's going to take away from your uniqueness, and it's going to prevent you from identifying with and resonating with your ideal audience and those people that are just dying for you to come into their life and solve their problems for them. Okay, so that is branding in a nutshell. And that is the type of branding that I do. I don't do graphic design. I don't do logo design. I can help with mood boards and color palettes and things like that, but I don't take those to the next level. What I do is create that strategy for you to then put into your messaging and all of your content to build that online presence that's going to attract more clients. Okay, so let's talk about marketing. Marketing is communication. Marketing is attracting your audience, right? So it's taking that story that you created by creating a brand, it's taking that brand, that story, and communicating it to the world. Now, there are so many ways you can do this. We have social media marketing. We have content marketing, which is similar to email marketing. We have influencer marketing. We have TV, radio. We have print ads. We have podcasts. And another component of marketing, when we talk about digital marketing, SEO, search engine optimization, is critical. When I talk about SEO, I am not an SEO expert. However, I know enough to be dangerous, and I have certainly done everything in my power to have my SEO on my website stellar and really working for me to drive traffic to my website. And that's all part of branding and telling your story too. You have key phrases, you have key words, you have all of those things that make you unique, and all of that should be incorporated into your copy. So even your copy, is part of your marketing, right? And when you do, say, a podcast guest, or you're interviewed for an article in Forbes or Entrepreneur Magazine, or even when you do a live here with Majette, or an interview with Majette for Diva Girl, or you're on, say, Jody Silverman's In the Nest, or you go live, that is free PR, and that's marketing. It's free marketing, it's PR. It's a way to tell your story. It's a way to build an emotional connection with your ideal audience, which is then going to attract them to you and build a genuine relationship with you, which will then convert to clients and referrals. Okay, so that's marketing in a nutshell. And yes, marketing is very, very, very in-depth. There are so many marketing strategies out there. We can't go into all of those tonight, and nor am I a marketing expert. I'm a branding expert. I'm a storyteller. I create those stories, I create that messaging, but you have to have that strategy to be able to then market. And then within marketing, there are so many more strategies. So which comes first, branding or marketing? Now, you might think I'm biased when I say branding because I'm a brand strategist. However, if you think about it, if you don't have a brand and you don't have a story to tell, you have nothing to market. So you have to dive into your brand, create it, and really build it in order to be able to then market it. So with that being said, when we talk about branding and then using that brand to tell your story through marketing efforts, you have to have absolute 100% clarity on your brand. Hey, Erica, on your brand messaging. And yet, yes, Majette, I'm glad you agree. Yes, branding first. So you have to have absolute clarity on who you serve, what you do, the problem you solve for the people you serve, why you do it. You have to have 100% clarity. And that clarity is what's going to allow you to then create those messages that are going to effectively resonate with your audience. I need to get a sip of water. Just one sec. I'm talking a lot. So we want to make sure that we have absolute clarity. When we have absolute clarity, we're going to have more confidence. When we have more confidence, we are going to have more trust in ourselves, and people are going to trust us more. The whole idea of creating a brand and then marketing it is to build the know, like, and trust factor. To build that know, like, and trust factor, you have to have absolute clarity. So I know I sound like a broken record, but that clarity is so, so important. So how do you do that? One of the things that is so important is to make sure that your core values are at the root of your brand. Your core values are how you're going to stay true, to stay authentic to your brand, to yourself, to your business. But most importantly, it's how you're going to connect with your ideal audience, is letting them know exactly who you are. And your ideal audience is going to have values similar to yours. And those are the people you want to work with. If you're completely on, polar opposite ends of the spectrum in terms of values, you're not going to be able to effectively serve your clients, because you have to have some sort of grounding and connection with them. And that's where storytelling comes into play. Your values become part of that story that you're telling, whether you're telling it online, you're telling it through blog posts, you're telling it through podcast interviews, but you're incorporating those into your brand, and you're sharing that. You're sharing that story. You're building a story around you as a person infused into your business. Okay, so we talked about that emotional connection, and I mentioned briefly earlier developing and building genuine relationships. Those genuine relationships are how we're going to attract more clients, but they're also how we're going to have referral sources. And those genuine relationships can ultimately become collaborations. They can become client relationships. They can even become, just a referral source for you and for your business and your brand. And one of the ways that we can develop those relationships is building that story, but staying true to our authentic self and telling our story not based on what other people in our space are doing, but what we're doing and who we are. And again, it's all about incorporating those core values. So one thing I want to mention is that branding stays the same. You may change your brand because you may pivot, you may have a major life event, you may have something that has changed, or you're just changing something in your business and your priorities and your focus, and so or your niche even. You could be extrapolating your niche, you could be niching down even further. So your brand can actually change, but branding itself is always going to be telling a story. It's always going to be infusing your personality into your business. Now, marketing is going to shift and change as the industry changes, and it's going to change depending on the industry that you are in. And I like to use the example here of looking at social media and what social media did to marketing. Completely transformed marketing, because now everyone has a free platform that they can use to market their business. They're communicating the story of their brand on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, on the professional social network of LinkedIn, which is a huge, huge, powerful tool, right? So that's something that's very important to keep in mind, is that your branding is always going to be the same, and it's always going to be telling your story. You can shift, you can pivot, you can modify, but ultimately, you're telling a story about you and your brand. You're creating that differentiation. You're positioning yourself as the expert and authority in your space, and you're creating perception of how other people perceive you, whether you're in the room or you're not in the room. Think about it as what people are saying when you're not listening to them, when you're not there, when you're not in front of them. What are they saying about you? What vibe do you put off? How do you make them feel? And do they like you? Do they know you? Do they trust you? And those are the types of things that you want to make sure that you're putting all of that content out into the world so that people will realize that. Hey, Sophia. Okay, so with all of that being said, again, I'm going to tie back into, as I close out, that you have to have a brand, a solid brand, before you can start marketing. Yes, you can market without a brand, but at the end of the day, those marketing efforts are going to fall flat. They're not going to be perceived well because you haven't created something that is communicating and really engaging and connecting with your ideal audience. So yes, you can market without a brand, but it is not going to be as successful. Your efforts are not going to be as successful as they would be if you had a brand. Okay, so I am basically done talking about that. So I would love to know if you guys have any questions, if there is anything that I can add to that would help you. If you want, we can talk about something else as well. We could talk about podcasting. We could talk about using your Facebook group as a marketing tool for growing your business. We could talk about really just about anything. So we could talk about email marketing. So I'm going to look in the comments. If anybody has any preference as to what we should dive into next, let me know, because I'm here for at least the next couple of 10 minutes or so. So let me know what other questions you have for me, because I would love, love, love to help you if I can. And Majette, please feel free to chime in if you want me to dive into another topic. Oh my gosh, this is a great question, Majette. So her question is, what if someone is stuck on naming their business or brand? Here's what I always say. Your name, for the most part, is unique to you. Now, there may be instances, like for me, there are apparently a lot of Robyn Grahams. I don't know who they are or where they are, but apparently there are a lot of Robyn Grahams. And so for my URL, I couldn't get Robyn Graham. For Instagram, I couldn't get Robyn Graham. So what I did was I chose the Robyn Graham. I could have potentially chosen I am Robyn Graham. I could have chosen, Robyn Graham brand strategist. I could have chose a lot of different things, but ultimately I chose, when I started my photography business 10 years ago, before I even started coming down the path of branding and really honing in on brand strategy, I kept my name there. And the reason I did was because I wanted to be recognized as the brand. So if people saw me out and about, they knew me as my brand. They knew who I was as a business owner. Now, there's nothing wrong with having a business name that is not your name, but what you want to do is keep in mind that if your name is not in your business and you pivot or you add services or you change the scope or you start, you ultimately start creating something different with your brand, what happens is there's confusion, and then that name that you chose may not align with what your brand is now. And so now you have to change your URL, which takes time and money. You have to redirect the website and all of that. So it takes a lot of work. So I always suggest, if it's feasible and it's gonna align with your brand, with your, the goal of your business is to use your name, or at least have part of your name in your business name, so that you can take that URL and then keep it and grow with it. So here's an example. So I'm a great example because I started with photography. So my LLC is under Robyn Graham Photography, but here I am, 5 years ago, I started transitioning to more of a business coach and doing more branding. I still do the photography, but Now I have that name and that LLC. Yes, I can change it, but it's going to cost me money. My URL was Robyn Graham Photography. I was able to change that, but when I changed that, again, I had to pay for the new URL. I had to set up my website again, like transfer the URL name. So it becomes a big hassle. And if you have something that's more generic, then you can actually hey Rose, how are you? Then you can actually add on to that. Like say you want to write a book, so you can add author to that. You can add that tab onto your website. Like my podcast, it's a different name than my name, but it's on my website under one big platform. So what I always say is if you are your brand, you are the story that's going to be told. And then you can have buckets or umbrellas underneath that. So for me, I have the photography, I have the brand strategy, and I have the podcast. Now for, Majette, like for you are just a major rock star in terms of networking and everything you do. And so for you have Diva Girl, but you also have your resiliency work and your coaching. And so for you, if you had a website that was Majette Reyes, you can put all of that underneath that, and they all align. They all come together, and they all are part of your story that you're going to communicate, but you want to have that synergy so that people know your story. Okay, hopefully that answered your question. It was kind of long-winded, but I wanted to give an example so that I was making it really clear. Anybody else have questions? I'm here for you. Whatever you have, throw it at me. Let's see. Do we need a slogan? Okay, here's what I would say is you want to have something that is somewhat of a tagline or a byline that actually is catchy, that it's like your 30-second spiel. You can say what it is, and people understand that. They understand immediately what you do and what service you're going to provide for them. So for me, mine is I'm a brand strategist. I'm a brand strategist, personal branding coach, podcast host, and a headshot and branding photographer. And I help female entrepreneurs. And then blah, 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 the rest of what I said earlier. But I help female entrepreneurs find absolute clarity and confidence in their brand messaging to attract more clients. So immediately people know, okay, she's a brand strategist and she's going to help me find clarity. I need confidence because I don't have a lot of that. And she's going to help me get more clients. Cool. I'm going to look her up. So you want something that's going to resonate with people right away. And it should be something that you can say under 30 seconds. Let's see. Oh my gosh, of course my phone battery is getting low now. Rose says, my biz name was Organized with Rose. Tagline was Rose Knows Where It Goes, and switched everything over to Rose Knows Where It Goes. Yeah, Rose, yours is great because everybody knows you as that. And I think your business is so much more broad than organization. I mean, you're doing staging. You're also an educator. You're always on TV, and you're educating, and your service is so much more broad than just organization, I think, based on what I know of you and what I've seen on, through your social media posts and everything. But Rose is still there. So people know Rose. They know Rose, they know you. And I think it's really important to always have your name somewhere within your business, your URL, your tagline, something. Do you think we still need websites? 100%. Everybody needs a website. And here's why. Number one, credibility. And number two, Google is so incredibly powerful. And if you don't have a website, how are people going to find you? Yes, they can find you on social media, but we live in a digital world, and social media could go away at any point in time. When you think about the times that Instagram has gone down, or Facebook's gone down, or Twitter's gone down, everybody is there's a flurry of activity. Oh my gosh, can you access this? Can you get on? I can't post, blah, 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 blah. Everybody's in a state of panic. So we don't own any of those platforms. Here's what we own. We own our website. We own all the evergreen content that we put on our blog. And we own, if you have a podcast, you own the podcast. YouTube's a little bit different. You pretty much own the content you put on YouTube. But again, that could change at any point in time. But if you are only using social media to market your business or to house your content, you could lose it all in a heartbeat. So it's very, very important that you have one place that houses all of your content. And to me, either blogging or podcasting, both of those are so incredibly powerful because you're putting out all of that content that you can then repurpose, and it stays right where you put it. It doesn't go away. But it's long form content, and it really helps you build, number one, the know, like, and trust factor, but it also helps you become an authority in your space, because anytime, anything that you have put on your website, if you have it SEO stocked, people are going to find you. They're going to find you using their Google search bar. Yes, home organizing, home staging, wardrobe editing, public speaking, etc. Yeah, you do it all, Rose. So I think you were really smart to say Rose knows where it goes. I mean, you could take that, narrow that down even further. But I think that, for everything that you're doing, you're capturing the essence of your business, because your business is about putting things in places or educating. And I think your title, your name is great. Logo, tips on logos. Here's what I'm going to say about logos. Your logo is not your brand. Your logo is an identifying factor for your brand. Logos are important. I'm never going to discount a logo, and especially a good logo. What you need to think about with a logo is you want something that, again, if you pivot your business, can it go with you? Like I have my logo, I definitely have a component of my logo that has photography on it, but I also have my logo made so that it's just my name. And that's very important because, again, it's an identifying factor. What I'm going to say is that your logo should never be used as your profile picture. Your face should represent you across all of your social media platforms and on your website. So your homepage of your website, your about page of your website, your contact page on your website, those are all amazing places. Even your services page on your website should have a picture of you, because you want people to immediately get to know you, like you, make that emotional connection with you, because that's how you're going to ultimately build more relationships, deeper connections. And that's what's going to attract people to you. So, but you should have that picture on your homepage should be the same as your profile picture. And that is so that people can easily recognize you. Your brand is cohesive across all of your platforms, and your brand is consistent across all of those platforms. Your whole goal here is to be recognizable, memorable, and shareable. And in order to do that, you have to put yourself out there as the face of your brand. So back to logos, what I would say as far as designing a logo, your brand, that type of branding versus personal branding is a complex thing. You want to make sure that your logo has a good type font that really can be associated with you and your brand, and your personality comes through that type, the font and the type font. Your colors. Creating a color board or mood board, that's something that you can actually do on Pinterest. You can create a private board and go through and identify logos that you like, that really resonate with you, color schemes, branding palettes that resonate with you. Those are all things that you can do yourself. You can even do, identify type fonts on Pinterest, on a mood board. But the important thing is that it all has to come together then. And then you can easily create something on Canva. It's not that difficult. It's a great tool that you could do yourself for free. But I do suggest that if you want something, you want to think about something from the perspective of having it long term. Something that, like I said, your business name or your URL can pivot or transform or move into another area with you, and not have to redo it in a shorter period of time. So hopefully that answers your questions about logos. Let's see, Rose says, not enough time in the day. I basically work with clients 24/7, so hard to keep up. Oh, Rose, trust me, I know it's extremely hard to keep up. And the other thing about a website too is that when you have a website, there's maintenance involved. Plugins have to be updated and everything else. But you have to keep in mind that content is how you're going to be found. Like for you, Rose, you have a great network. You've built a Facebook group. You've built, you're all over the place because you've had so much free PR or so much marketing through all your PR efforts that you're well known in our area, I would say. And but for people just starting out, and even for people who are in business long term, there's always going to be somebody else coming up that's going to connect with clients, and there's going to be crossover. So you want to make sure that you have that foundation and a place where no matter what, it's a place of credibility and authority, and that really shows and demonstrates your expertise. Oh, Majette, yes, recognizable, memorable, and shareable. Those are I say those words all the time when I'm talking about branding. And part of that is that clarity component is so very important for that, to have that clarity so that people, and to be present in your brand and to tell your story, but to do all of that together so that people can recognize you wherever you are. You don't want to have a picture on your profile picture that doesn't even look like you or resemble you, and then you're meeting with someone for the first time. I mean, obviously right now we're really not meeting with people live, but when we are, you show up and it doesn't look a thing like you immediately lose that trust factor. And you have to have trust. You have to have trust in yourself, and you have to have trust in, or your clients, or your audience has to trust you in order for your brand to grow, in order for your story to resonate, and for you to connect to everyone, and then ultimately have them convert to clients. Let's see. I'm just reading comments. I think I'm caught up. Actually, Rose, you can hire people to do your website. I know I pay someone, and it's not that expensive, and she just makes sure every month that the plugins are up to date. There's nothing that has, when WordPress updates it, there's nothing that has been, shifted or broken or whatever. And because you can always back it up yourself, which you should do if you're adding content or changing anything. You should always back it up before you do that, just in case. But I know, like, if you have a WordPress website, there are local people who will do monthly maintenance for you. But for content creation, you can hire people to do email marketing for you. You can hire people to do blog posts for you. But again, it depends on your budget. And I know a lot of people are struggling with that right now because of COVID. So if you can't afford that, then ultimately that content creation ends up being, like I do all my own content creation. So it's, it's hard. It's not easy. It's very time consuming, but I think it really builds that credibility and really shows you as an expert and authority in your space. Majette says, thank you. You're welcome, Majette. I'm so thrilled that you had me. Let's see, I look much better on Facebook compared to how I show up to declutter. That's hilarious, Rose. Yeah. I think that's probably the case for all of us, especially now during COVID, since we're like all in our yoga pants all day, every day, right? That's hilarious. But no matter what, Rose, you're always beautiful. I don't know if all of you out there know Rose, but she's amazing. She's a shining light, super, super, super woman. So look her up, Rose Prendergast Miller. She's awesome. All right, any other questions for me? Majette, I never know when I should sign off or if I should stay on. All right, if nobody has any other questions, I guess I'll hang up and go have some dinner. My day just went so fast. Okay, you're good. All right then, everybody have a fabulous evening. Oh, and lastly, I wanted to tell you, I have a Facebook group too. It's called the Brand Marketing Insider, and I would love for all of you to join it. I drop really brand strategy tips in there several times a week, and it's a place for you to actually promote your business and connect with other like-minded people. We have freebie days where you can, share whatever it is that you have during the week. We share wins, we celebrate. It's a great place just to hang out and learn more about brand strategy and connect with like-minded women and help, build your brand, build your business, and be able to promote it in a safe place as well. So I invite all of you to join the Brand Marketing Insider Facebook group as well. Thank you, everybody. And and my podcast, the Second Phase podcast, it's super fun too. I always have really great, really great guests. So anyway, I will put all of this information in the comments for you, and I'll put the links so it's easy for you to find them. And hopefully I will be able to connect with all of you live real soon. And if not, at least here on Facebook, right? Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.